I want you to click on that and go to her full comment, because it's a really well written comment and a little bit of a critique, right? But generally, I do have empathy for everyone. As a retired mental health professional, that is my disposition, is to have empathy. But in my old age, in my own evolution towards objectivity and steering away from placating people who do not want to be helped, do not want to change, I have evolved into a person who prioritizes objectivity and discernment and integrity. And that doesn't always mean neutrality, but what it means is you're going to weigh a person's perspective with what they choose and how they act and how they behave, because everybody has free will and you can separate the person from their behavior. So you can empathize with their soul and wish them well, hope they get redeemed, and don't want to see them meet harm's way. But that doesn't mean you do not hold them accountable to the wrongs of their behavior. And they have a choice if they step up to that or not. And the thing with cluster B personalities is that typically they do not. And not always. There may be some, very, very few, that do. They do rise up. They do stand up and accept responsibility for their behavior and try to change. And they're compliant with treatment. But when it comes to the origin of it, people jump to assume that it's always trauma. But actually, in most cases, it's not. It's not the trauma that we usually think of when we think of trauma. Now, it is trauma to say that they had poor parenting, like in regards to permissive or chaotic parenting, parenting that coddled them, parenting that didn't have any boundaries, that didn't have that structure, that perhaps was neglectful in a way, and that's a form of trauma, but that's not usually what we think when we think of trauma. Usually when we think of trauma, we think of they were violated, they were victimized, they were hurt intentionally, or maybe not intentionally, but hurt more tangibly by some sort of aggressive parent, or like neglectful, like they were not taken care of. But these parents may have loved them so much that they enabled them. And that's what created this predisposition towards cluster B personalities, right? But also there's a lot of neurological and developmental anomalies that happen in these types. So in a sense, they're wired that way. So we can understand where it comes from, but that still doesn't excuse their behavior. So this whole idea of empathy is misconstrued and misunderstood. The way that I apply empathy is just being able to intellectually put yourself in another's position. And if you can do that, that gives you intellectual